Good morning again, everyone. My name is Rebecca Shi. I'm the CEO of the American Business Immigration Coalition. We represent 1,700 employers in manufacturing, elder care, agriculture, construction, technology, and hospitality. With the border fully secured, we call on President Trump and Congress to expand work permits for our essential workers and citizenship for dreamers. Why? Because work permits lower prices for everyday Americans in food, in housing, in care, and it is also politically popular. Last week, the federal government's own data said that we have 881,000 less immigrant workers over the last year. And this has resulted in US-born unemployment up by 11%. We know that one immigrant worker on average creates 2.1 jobs for native-born Americans. So when you dramatically reduce immigrants in the workforce, native-born Americans also lose their jobs. And that was clear from this federal government data. So then earlier this week, President Trump said in a 2-hour plus interview with the New York Times that he wants comprehensive immigration reform. President Trump wants dreamers to stay, he wants farm workers to stay, and he was upset about raids on the Hyundai plants and the aggressive raids we saw last year on farms, hotels, and restaurants. Look, Americans agree. Our recent polling with Republican pollsters, Terrence Group, who do polling for Republican leadership, show that across battleground states, 81% of Hispanic voters and 78% of Republican primary voters support granting work permits to undocumented immigrants who have been in the US for years with jobs, law abiding, and a path to citizenship for the dreamers. So the other thing we've seen in recent polling is that the majority of Americans and Hispanic voters agree that ICE has gone too far. So we believe this is the year 2026 to win work permits because the president has said it repeatedly, because the American people and especially Hispanic voters have said that ICE has gone too far and we need sensible solutions like legal work permits. When you provide work permits for immigrants, you create jobs and you reduce prices for everyday Americans. And now I am really thrilled, and I don't know, Henya is the congressman on?
Both
I don't see.
congressmen are still
Okay,
delayed, so we can move ahead with the
yeah,
speakers.
that's right. We will have Congressman Don Bacon, Republican from Nebraska, and Congressman Tom Suozzi, Democrat from New York, joining us shortly. So they'll once they join us from their votes, we will highlight them right away. But just to get us started, I'm thrilled to introduce Massey Villarreal, who is the CEO and president of PTG and the Committee 100 co-chair. Massey recently co-authored a Wall Street Journal op-ed on the Hispanic vote and immigration with the co-chair of Committee, Sam Sanchez. So Massey?
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. And I think it's obvious that the lack of immigration solutions have a tremendous impact on our workforce and, of course, declining voter support. I'm a lifelong Republican, and I'm talking to a lot of my friends who are telling me that they're very disappointed what we're seeing today with their vote support. As you look around the country, business leaders, whether state leaders, business leaders, chambers of commerce, uh, elderly care providers, farmers, construction managers are reporting the same struggles. Industries cannot operate without long-standing, law-abiding immigrant workers. Americans are feeling the impact across the country. There's work shortages driving up prices and straining communities. Our dairy farmers are struggling. You know, if I've heard one of the farmers say that if we can't get his cow's milk, we're going to buy our cows and our milk from Japan because there's no way to do it here. I live in Houston, and I'm a member of the chamber here. And as we look at our region, it has the largest medical center in the hemisphere. We have $40 billion in booked construction in 2026. If we don't have a workforce, that slows down the construction. The construction slows down the economy, and there's a ripple effect all the way down to polling done by conservative pollsters show that 61% of Latino voters say that the current economic policies have made conditions worse, and the disapproval rating of this administration is rising up to over 59%. I was one of the one that have the I was one of the a percentage of Hispanic voters that voted for President Trump. But due to the enforcement only, that support is slipping. Industries of agriculture, elderly care, hospitality are destabilizing the workforce local economies. Hispanic voters, like all Americans, want action. Work permits for immigrant workers, pathway to citizenship for dreamers. Ignoring this moment hurts communities, weakens the workforce, and risks the economies. And thank you. Look forward to you all supporting us.
Great. Thank you so much, Massey. And everybody check out his Wall Street Journal op-ed that was published on New Year's Day. We're so thrilled to have Congressman Tom Suozzi from the great state of New York, who just joined us. As you all probably know, the congressman is maniacal about finding bipartisan support and victory on immigration. He has built several bipartisan and bicameral work groups, and he is just fearless about stabilizing the workforce, bringing order to the border, and ensuring that immigrants already here working, contributing, are treated with dignity of legal status. Congressman Suozzi, go ahead.
You know, all this news we're seeing these days about all this hostility taking place in our country related to the issue of immigration is just so disheartening for all of us. And we really need to pull together and recognize that this is affecting all of our lives. This is affecting our businesses. This is affecting law enforcement. This is affecting our souls as far as how we treat people like human beings. And we've got to come together. Democrats and Republicans have got to work together to address the immigration problem we face in the country. Yes, we have to secure the border. Yes, we should deport violent criminals, but we've got to treat people like human beings and stop letting people who are otherwise innocent getting caught up in this whole thing, living under complete fear every single day for their future, for them and for their families. So let's support the efforts that the president is doing to secure the border and deport violent criminals. But let's work together. Let's work together with our businesses and with our law enforcement community and with people of good will who care about other human beings to stop separating families, to stop treating people who've been here for 10 years or more, who've committed no crimes other than maybe not having the proper documentation. Start treating them like the great productive citizens they could be to make our country better and to make our economy stronger. There's so much common sense that can solve the problems we face here. And I just want to thank ABIC for all the great work that they've been doing to try and bring this to people's attention, to recognize how there is so many common sense solutions here. There's so many different pieces of legislation that have been done by Democrats and Republicans this year, last year, the past 5 years. We just need to have the will. And we really need our president, quite frankly, to help us get here because he's done a great job securing the border. But if you want to really have a legacy on the issue of finally addressing immigration and the border, we need to have a bipartisan deal to legalize a bunch of folks that have been here for a long time, otherwise playing by the rules, so that they can live a more productive life, they can contribute to their communities, they can expand the tax base in our country, and they can have a better life in the United States of America. My father was born in Italy, lived a great American success story. When I think of America, I think of it through the lens of immigration and the American dream. And there are so many people here in our country that have been, millions of people that have been here for a decade or more that really just want to have a good life for their family and contribute to their adopted country. So let's work together to make that happen. Thanks so much for the good work you're doing, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Congressman. If you could just stay on for, if possible, another 10 minutes. We do have reporters from the Wall Street Journal, AP, Bloomberg, so there will be a Q&A. Next, I'm thrilled to have Congressman Don Bacon. He's a Republican from Nebraska. Congressman Bacon is a 30-year career in the U.S. Air Force, and he's a brigadier general. Because of his leadership and patriotism, the congressman has advocated for common sense reform that prioritizes national security and the rule of law. The congressman has also championed bipartisan legislation like the Dignity Act, which pairs robust border security with work permits for long-term law-abiding immigrants already contributing to Nebraska's industries. So please help me welcome Congressman Bacon.
Hey, thank you, Rebecca. And appreciate everybody. Sorry for being a little late. I just got done voting like Tom was, but I somehow got caught up in a press conference on the way out, so it got me a little slow on a variety of issues. We had a lot going on, as you may know. Hey, I echo Tom and I have been on this for a while. I've enjoyed working with Tom since he was first elected. Then when he was came back a second time, I've enjoyed working with Tom, and I'm very much in sync with the policies these are joint things that we've been working on. So I just want you to know I think 99% with them. I can't even think what that 1% would be, but because myself a little safety. But first of all, I'm going to add on what he said, not repeat. We have secured the border. My recommendation to the president: declare victory. Right now, America needs immigration reform, and almost all the Republicans, they say, well, we'll do immigration reform once the border's secure. Well, the border's secure. And I think this is one of the two most important issues facing our country right now. I think immigration reform. The other one is the $36 trillion debt that we have, and trying to manage our retirement stuff, because we have more people retiring than coming into the workforce. That's a separate issue, but these are the two biggest issues. We have to get immigration reform right. If we want our country to grow at a 2.1 ratio, that's right now, if it wasn't, immigration would be like 1.8. Our country would be shrinking. It would put a lot of stress on all of our programs, and it would hurt our economy. And so we need to have some steady flow of immigration, and to do it right. And I share Tom's viewpoints of those who've been here for a while, otherwise here illegally, but otherwise working. They're good neighbors. We need to have a plan here. And I would submit to you that instead of being mad at ICE, it's the Congress's role to change the law. Right now, there's people executing the law, and we got to change the law that makes sense for Americans right now. And that means Congress has this responsibility. And so I'm on a variety of legislation, but I think the framework that I've worked on here with Tom has been, and it replicates what we're doing in the Dignity Act to a degree. But anyway, I'm very supportive, because I know I talked to all these employers in Omaha. That's their number one issue. We need immigration reform. The one thing that concerns me, if you do polling, it never registers in the top 5 or 10, right? The border was, but now it's like 7 or 8. We got to communicate to the people out there how important this is for our economy and the future of our country to have legal immigration at a proper level. And but right now it's not, doesn't register that much. That's where we all got to fit in here and tell the story in our communities, whether it's on your radio, letters to the editor, and so forth. But without replicating everything Tom said, we work together on this stuff, and I know it's important.
Great. Thank you so much, Congressman. I know you and Congressman Swazi have a tight timeline. I do have a couple of questions that came in already. Nick, if you can spot Congressman Swazi as well. So this is from Axios. Congressman Bacon: has the immigration enforcement overreach affected agriculture or cattle in Nebraska? And Congressman Swazi, can you speak to the issue affecting U.S. citizens married to undocumented spouses? And is there a solution for that?
Yes, there has been some impacts in processing plants, various agriculture areas. We see it in the construction. And so again, I know our ICE and folks they're trying to implement the law as it's written. It's incumbent upon us to change it and make it more humane. And I think it's important, I'm just saying a political thing. I know Tom's a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Most Americans don't want people being harassed that are trying to go to work, trying to take care of families. And but there's got to be a consequence. That's where Tom and I have worked on something I think appropriate here. But it has this enforcement, the aggressive enforcement has impacted Nebraska, but I think every state and various industries. So yes, to your question.
And Rebecca, what was my question again?
Oh, about the undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens.
Oh yeah, well, if you live in the United States of America, and even if you've watched movies in America, everybody in America thinks already that if you're married to a U.S. citizen, that you become a citizen. That's what people think that is the law right now. Well, that's not the law. There are about 1 million people in the United States of America that are undocumented, that are married to U.S. citizens, that have no status. And we should fix that, because, I mean, that's what everybody thinks already. And the fact that you've been here in the United States of America, again, you're trying to live your life, you're trying to make your family stronger and better. We want to try and figure out a way to give work authorization, the right to travel, and to be free from the threat of deportation for these people that are married to U.S. citizens. Because uh, who wants to separate families? I mean, nobody's for that. I mean, Don is such a wonderful guy and such a reasonable person. And I think that the viewpoint that he and I have, which is, we may not agree on everything, but let's work together where we can find common ground. And there are so many people in Congress that have that sense of finding common ground to actually solve problems and make people's lives better. We have to stop listening to these extreme voices that just want us to all hate each other. And we've got to instead sit down across from each other and say, well, I think this. Well, I think that. Well, how about this? Well, how about that? And then work our way together to actually find a solution. And that's what Don and I have done. That's what other members of the Problem Solvers Caucus have done. And there are many more people in this country, in the Congress, that want to do that. These jobs are not worth it. Don will be the first one to tell you. These jobs are not worth it just to get elected. They're only worth it if you actually solve a problem and make things better and make people's lives better. That's the only thing that makes it fulfilling. So this is so clear to us that what needs to be done. And we really need the president to give us a little boost to say that he wants to get something done. He said something the other day that he wants to do a deal on immigration and that, he needs the Democrats to work with him. Well, I'm telling you, Mr. President, there are a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans that want to work with you to solve this problem. And like Congressman Bacon said, Don said, declare victory on the border. The border is secure. And now let's work on making things better in our country for all of us. Let's build this coalition of business and badges and the Bible, and let's work together to actually solve this problem.
I personally think if this is going to get fixed, it will be under President Trump, because there's elements on the right, and I call them the right because I don't think that's an appropriate term, but that's what they're termed in the media. There's elements out there that oppose anything with immigration. And it will take someone like Donald Trump to say, I'm going to do this. It's like, it's like Nixon with China. There's just certain people, they can defeat elements on their own side with their own forcefulness. And I think it will take someone like Trump to actually get a longstanding immigration reform done.
And, the other thing is the Democrats are becoming more and more confident that we're going to win the midterms. And the closer we get to the election and people feeling that way, the less likely they're going to be to make a deal. Now is the time to make a deal right now. While the midterms are in question, we don't know what's going to happen. Let's get something done so the president can deal with the Republicans and the more far right of the Republican Party, and so the Democrats who want to do something reasonable can try and get something done now. Now is the time to do it. Because if the Democrats win in November, the price they're going to ask for is going to be a lot higher to get things done. And then what'll happen, people say, oh, let's wait till we win the presidency. And then everybody's going to hold out, and then we're not going to get anything done. It's going to be another 10 years before something gets done. So now is the time to strike. Now is the time to make a deal and get something done.
Too often, both sides demand 100%, and we get zero.
Actually, on that, the AP is asking, what do you believe is realistic in terms of getting done this year? Is it the Dignity Act? Is it work permits? Is it an executive action?
I don't want to point to a specific piece of legislation. I support the Dignity Act and I support other pieces of legislation that have been out there, but I think it's got to be a couple things that work together. Number one is we've got to make sure that we continue to secure the border. The president has done it through executive order. The next president can change the executive order. We need to codify in law additional things to make sure the border will remain secure for the long-term future. We need to fix the broken asylum system that the cartels have abused by making a lot of money, by bringing people to the southern border to apply for asylum, because the cases have overwhelmed the system. It takes 6 or 8 years to resolve those cases. And 85% of the cases get denied ultimately. But in the meanwhile, 6 or 8 years, people are living here and the system is just overwhelmed and broken. And when the system's overwhelmed, there's more drug trafficking and there's more sex traffic victims that are brought over the border because the Customs Border Patrol are overwhelmed with the asylum applications. So secure the border, fix the broken asylum system. And then the most important thing that matters to me the most, and I'm sure to a lot of people in your group, Rebecca, is people that have been here for 10 years, have not committed any crimes. They may not have the proper documentation, but let's figure out a way to legalize them so they can go to work every day, they can pay their taxes, they can travel freely, and they can live their lives without being under the fear that you're going to take mommy away or take daddy away or separate a family from each other. It's just plain common sense. And the president has said things like this in the past, and we need to lean into those comments and not let some of the people in his administration that have been a little bit more dark than him on this issue controlling the conversation.
Rebecca, I totally agree with Tom on all this. If the president comes on board, we can get this done. And he has expressed it. So that's going to be the key. If he doesn't, we'll maybe hitting some singles. I'd rather hit a little far. I'd like to hit a triple or a double here if I could. And I would also say we have a chance to tell the president, Mr. President, what do you want people to read about you 20, 30 years from now? This could be a legacy thing for him. And I think that kind of talk appeals to him. So we need to, this is your chance, Mr. President, to make a huge difference in our country for decades to come.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Congressman. I know the questions are still coming in, but I do want to move to the next speaker, and I know you guys can only stay with us for a few more minutes, so feel free. We have excellent speakers. The next is Mario Guerrero, who really is a powerhouse in South Texas. Mario is the executive director of the South Texas Builders Association, and his work over the last couple months organizing hundreds of builders, construction CEOs in large town halls has caught the attention of the entire Texas delegation and had made movement on work permits for our long-term workers. Mario?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction, Rebecca.
Oh, go ahead. You want to share your comments on the issue?
Yes. I just want to say to the congressmen that are on, just being a part of the same webinar or Zoom, I'm very humbled by it. I'm just a civilian that is extremely worried about our economic issue down here in South Texas. We are about maybe 8 minutes to 10 minutes tops from the border. So to us here, it's our everyday lives to have people that have been living here for 10, 15, 20 years that have been directly affected by what's currently happening. Now, to stay on the topic of the construction industry, what we're seeing down here in the construction industry is that first we were told that there has to be some sort of warrant that needs to be presented when these federal agents show up to construction sites, and there's no warrants being presented. And they're asking questions, and when questions are being answered, I mean, we have video proof, all sorts of videos. At this point, I would probably say more than 50, 60, 70 videos of proof where they are basically just taking everybody, whether they have credentials or not. They are telling people that the Biden administration gave work permits to people, and that those work permits are no longer they're no longer valid. So they're still taking people with proper work documentation to be here in the United States. What we're seeing economic wise is that we already have companies, like huge construction companies that are, concrete companies, tile companies, lumber companies that are filing for bankruptcy because we've seen such a dramatic decrease in the construction industry with the production down here. I took it upon myself to call on all our elected officials down here. I called every person by their name. I went ahead and let everybody know that I believe in the American dream. I also believe that Mr. Trump is the epitome of the American dream. I believe his family is the epitome of the American dream. And I think that as a businessman, I'm a second generation owner myself. My parents came from nothing. They have had a company that has withstand we're at over 37 years. This year will be 38 years that we've been in existence. We're one of the biggest development companies in South Texas. We also build, hundreds of homes. I have a lot of pride when it comes to the construction industry. And my parents have always told us that you have to stand up for what's right and what's wrong. And what's happening right now is wrong. We have people that are being abused. There's currently a man that is a cabinet maker, a custom wood cabinet maker that has been in ICE custody for over 5 weeks now, that has a son in the Army and a son in the Navy. So we're seeing things to where it's like, where is our elected officials? We, the people, elect our people to represent us in the time of good and in the time of bad. And right now it doesn't look good at all. Like it doesn't, like You go to any development site here in South Texas right now, and you will find houses that are completely abandoned and empty. Now, the problem with that is that we all know that most of these construction companies are running off of loans. So if you have loans that are out there that are not being paid back, what's that going to hurt? It's going to hurt the economy. People say, well, it's going to skyrocket the pricing of homes. People need to understand that the prices of homes are also delegated by the appraisal. So just because a builder wants to build you a house and then he wants to sell you the house at 500,000, that's not the reality of life. They still have to go through appraisal and then they give you the number. But what we're seeing is
Mario, I hate to interrupt. We're gonna have more time for Q&A at the end, but you have gone over your time. But it's
thank you.
super meaningful what you just shared. So thank you so much. Next, I want to introduce Rachel Blumberg, who is the CEO of Sinai Residences. There is a PBS special actually on Rachel and the work she's doing, leading elder care and this immigration workforce. So everybody please watch, and I'm so thrilled to welcome Rachel.
Thank you. Actually, we were on NPR this morning, so if anybody heard Marketplace Morning Report.
Excellent.
But good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak today. I do lead a large, prominent senior living community in Florida, as Rebecca mentioned, but I'm here to speak on behalf of our staff that are directly affected by the termination of TPS, the impact that it has on us locally, and the national implications that it has on the healthcare providers across America. These are caregivers responsible for America's most vulnerable citizens. They're our parents, our grandparents who paved the way for our country as it stands today. These staff members are performing work that many Americans simply will not do. They're bathing, feeding, lifting, they're comforting our residents. They sit with Americans compassionately, hand in hand at the end of life. They do all of this work with compassion, and they do it legally under TPS. TPS was a commitment made by the United States government. It created a legal pathway for people fleeing danger to live and work here lawfully and pay taxes and contribute to our economy and our communities. On February 3rd, that promise ends unless rescinded. And the following day, February 4th, people who are here legally today will be reclassified as illegal. And that's not because they did anything wrong. It's because the legal bridge they were told to stand on is being removed. And I think that distinction really matters. We're not asking for blanket amnesty. We're asking the United States to honor the lawful process it created. Ending TPS without extension will put them in danger. Many face life-threatening their life if they're forced to return to unsafe countries that they fled from. It's also going to destabilize care systems that millions of Americans depend on. What stayed with me the most are the conversations I've had with our TPS employees. I've never heard anger, resentment, no entitlement from them. What I have seen are tears from people who have followed every rule and trusted America, only to be told they no longer belong. TPS was meant to be a bridge to safety and stability. We're asking that bridge to remain intact. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Isabel Loring. She's a resident here at Sinai Residences who has a few words to share with you as well.
Good morning. I'm one of the elder residents at Sinai. I've been here 10 years since Sinai opened. I've developed relationships with the workers here that are like family to me. These are people, if we lose them, I will have a hole in my heart. I have people on every level of care, friends, and now they are my relations. I can tell you about some of them. Sonia and Daisy take care of me at breakfast. They know what I like and they have it ready for me. The wine that I enjoy at happy hour is always presented by a wonderful bartender. Romaine likes my favorite roll at dinner and often has it there for me when I come to the dining room. Sylvia knows my name and my apartment number before I even get there and before I place my order. We may even be having a wedding here at Sinai later this year of two of our workers that really have been doing a wonderful job for a number of years here, and we love them like family. To see any of these devoted workers leave would feel like losing a member of my family. They are here with me every day. They care for me in every possible way. And my family, my real family, is not always available. So this is my important plea that these people are living here legally. They deserve to be kept here, and hopefully they will be allowed to stay if all of you political people keep working on the job that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Loring and Rachel, for these past powerful testimony. And if you can stay on for another couple minutes, we're going to go into the Q&A, and there's one specifically for the two of you. Last, I am proud to introduce Jenny Tilton Flood, who is a dairy farmer and the co-owner of Flood Brothers Farm in Maine. Jenny is also a co-chair of our agricultural council, and we're just so thrilled and so grateful for Jenny's years of leadership on this issue. Jenny?
Hi, thank you so much, Rebecca, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much for everyone who's joined us. I am honored, as others have said, to be on here with the Congressman. My name is Jenny Tilton Flood, and my dairy farm is located in Clinton, Maine. You've never heard of it, but it is Maine's dairy capital. 4 family farms producing almost 15% of our entire state's dairy supply, depending very much so on the skills, expertise, care, and dedication and compassion of people who weren't born here but found their way here and have made their homes as part of our farms, our economy, our communities. And they are part and parcel of making sure that dairy farmers like myself throughout the entire United States are able to secure our food system, much like President Trump has made certain to secure our borders. And we are so looking forward to a time when we can look ahead to consistency, security, safety, and a feeling of moving forward to be doing more than just protecting the people who work so hard with us. We know that people who have been here for a long time have worked so hard that they belong here, and they are not a threat to our security. They are not a threat to our country. They are part of our communities, and we don't know what we would do without them, both on an emotional and societal level, as well as the nuts and bolts of running a business. We know that the threat of raids and actions on farms has been promised to go away by the president, and we are so appreciative of that. It is so difficult to get up and battle the weather, the climate, the pricing, and just the hardship of stuff not working because it's a farm and it's what we've chosen to do, but also being fearful that people are not going to be able to go about their day on the farm in safety, cannot go to the grocery store with security to purchase the food they've helped grow, raise, and produce with their own hands and skill. It adds a sense of fear and stress that we really, really cannot bear for much longer. There's no sustainability in that. We appreciate the administration and the president moving away from on-farm actions, and we look forward and plead for action of work permits for the people who are part of our ag sector, our food system, making sure that Americans have the fresh quality food that they know is good for them and we know is good for our country, like milk and dairy. Work permits would allow our underdocumented and documented team members to be able to truly unleash their benefits to our society and communities, to go to church freely and safely, for their children to get off the school bus confident that mom and dad are there, and for us to be able to know that the milk that we put on store shelves comes from a really good place. So I thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We're gonna bring up all of the speakers on screen now for questions. I'm just gonna, we're running a few minutes late, but I'm gonna go through all the questions for the speakers. So the first one is for Massey and Mario. The new congressional maps in Texas are drawn to add 5 congressional seats to the Republican delegation, and they're drawn expecting that Hispanics will continue to vote Republican. Can the Republicans count on these voters this November? Why or why not? So just keep that question in mind. Can Republicans count on Hispanics to continue to vote Republican in Texas with the new 5 new seats? This is for the next one is for Rachel and Miss Loring. What is the impact on seniors when their caregivers are abruptly taken away? And then also for Jenny, there are comments from various Republicans about focusing on improving visas or allowing dairy farmers to be part of year-round visas, but not much has been said about fixing the current work permit issues for existing dairy workers. And what would you think would be the impact there if the current workers are not adjusted? So I will start with Massey and Mario, if one of you want to take that.
Yeah, I'll go first. Thank you. And so a lot of Latinos in 2024 went to the polls wanting to change. The border was wide open. Joe Biden led a lot of folks come across the border, and of course it was porous. And so we voted for a change. We listened to Donald Trump say he was going to fix the immigration. He said he was going to secure the border. Well, now the border's secure. And we're not getting a solution here. So there's a lot of disenfranchised voters who are disappointed that they voted for this administration, and now we're not getting what we thought we voted for. So I'm getting that, just not just my feeling, but a lot of my fellow conservative Hispanics are really concerned that this is going to hurt all up and down the ticket.
I want to second that motion with Mr. Messi just said. It's honestly down here in South Texas, we saw an influx of immigration that we had never seen in our lives before. We saw hundreds of thousands of people that were being basically just held under a bridge by the Biden administration. The Mexican culture is a very conservative culture, right? And we want to change, and we voted for President Trump. Now, I could tell you cold-heartedly what the streets are saying because I live on the street every day from job site to job site. I have 4 different offices I visit every day. And I could tell you that they're not going to vote Republican. Even if the Congress would tell them that you have to, because that's the only way you're going to get through to the president, I can guarantee you the streets, and I'm being honest. If you want honesty, I'll be honest with you. They're not going to vote Republican. And there's no way you're going to win them back. If this continues, you can already guarantee that the Mexican vote will go Democrat. Not because of anything else, but because this is hurting people's lives more than anything. You are taking food off of people's tables and you are destroying families. But that's just the reality. And I'm here to tell you the truth.
Great. Mario, a follow-up from a reporter. If you can also expand on the bankruptcies in South Texas that you mentioned due to ICE raids.
Yes, ma'am. So currently, on the last quarter of 2025, we had a meeting with Congressman Henry Cuellar, and he came down after I called out on all our elected officials. We had a meeting with all our elected officials. He got word of it. So did Monica de la Cruz. Henry Cuellar was the first congressman that came down, and he told me, I need numbers in order to present them to Congress. I called on a bunch of business owners here locally, like Isaac Smith, Jeremy Smith. They own Matt's Building Materials, Materiales del Valle. I called on Sarsky Lumber, and they brought their numbers. Sarsky Lumber had a 47% decrease in production and sales in the last quarter of 2025. Just in 2025. Matt's Building Materials had a 60, I want to believe it was a 64 decrease in sales in the last quarter of 2025. Materiales del Valle, which is one of the biggest tile companies in the valley, was at 60, like close to 70% of decrease in sales. Right now, Builders First Source is already letting go of people because they cannot continue to keep paying people. So they're firing personnel at a lumber company. 57 Concrete is a major concrete company down here in the Rio Grande Valley, and they've already filed bankruptcy. So it's a real economical issue in our hands. And I mean, I'm just here to tell you all the truth.
Yep, that's really clear and powerful. Thank you so much, Mario. So to Rachel and Miss Loring about just the impact on American seniors if these workers are removed.
Sure, I think it depends on, where those individuals are working. For our purposes at a community like ours, the direct impact is that we need to rely on other employees to fill those gaps. That's going to lead to burnout. They're going to be exhausted. There's only so many hours a day those individuals can work to fill in those gaps. It's also going to lead to an expense increase. Wages will go up, overtime, and things like that. I think the biggest risk are for seniors that are living at home, whether it's an apartment building or in their own home, and they're relying on a caregiver to come to their home every single day. When that caregiver is abruptly removed from them, there is not always a replacement there for them. So unfortunately, not everybody can live in, a senior living community like ours where they're sheltered and there are some safeguards for that. That is an incredibly risky. That individual is relying on that caregiver to eat, to bathe, to toilet, for every essential position, which also brings me back to our community. I did focus on our nurses, our certified nursing assistants, but it's the entire breadth of our campus that is affected by operations, just as every hospital or any other healthcare clinic is affected. It's our cooks, it's our dishwashers, it's our porters, it's our maintenance technicians. So it's your clinical staff, but it's also those non-clinical staff that keep the building open and thriving every single day.
I'd like to add one thing. We have met when I moved in 10 years ago, everyone was independent. There were no walkers, there were no wheelchairs. And now, 10 years later, we have residents that need help for all the tasks that Rachel mentioned. And they are with people, they're hiring immigrants because Americans don't want to do those jobs. So it's the immigrants that are coming in to fill all those spaces and take care of our residents.
Yeah, I should just clarify for context, our community has independent living.
Right.
We have assisted living. We have memory care with those with cognitive impairments. We have short-term rehabilitation. We also have long-term care for skilled nursing. So we have the entire spectrum of senior living care here.
Great. Thank you so much. And then just for Jenny, regarding this question of allowing dairy farmers to be part of the H-2A year-round and if not fixing work permits for existing workers, what would that mean?
I really appreciate the question, but I really want to make sure that people understand there's such a distinction between the visa programs that were designed for seasonal application or for short-term labor and skill set needs. Our dairies require constant continuum of care, skills, and quality caregiving. Not unlike the level and standards of care and well-being that are required for those who are caring for our human herd. Our cow herds require people who are willing to take the time to learn how animals are, to learn new equipment, new technologies, and apply that. And in our neck of the woods, where we have the oldest population, and we also have a deficit of new population, it is not easy to replace people when we lose someone who has gained that skill set. And it's really important for me as a business owner and someone who's really, really concerned about our food system, that while it would be great to think that Congress and government could come up with a policy to make a program that doesn't work that well for visas to somehow adapt for us, I say no, thank you. And hell no, I would really appreciate a program that is built and made to last, to make sure that Americans can continue feeding Americans and the world if necessary. I have an employee and team member who came to us with very few skills in agriculture. And he, over the course of the last 7 years, has become a leader in understanding how to care for our forage, how to make sure that feeding of our animals is done with such particular care and skill, a job that no one other than my husband and before him, his father, and before him, his grandfather had ever done. And that is someone that has been here for a long time contributing. His wife works with us and his three beautiful children, the oldest who wants to become a law enforcement officer and insisted on his mom buying him the entire uniform to wear for career day. I actually have temporary custody of them should that be required and something happened to their parents, along with four other children of family and team members here at the farm. So while, yes, a system of work permits is needed, it's more than needed. It's necessary for national security. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenny. And I want to thank all of our speakers and the members of press who joined us. And our speakers are available for one-on-one interviews. And just please reach out to Henya or our firm at FGS to schedule that. And as you've heard, and our employers have made very clear, we need solutions like work permits and not these aggressive rates. And if not, there will be dire consequences for American businesses and American families. So I thank you very, very much and have a great day, everybody.